Awesome. Yes, thank you. And thank you everybody for joining us tonight. And thank you for your special gifts that each one of you individually bring. Part of the messages that I'm here to bring too is that, you each are very special and you're unique, and that's what makes the world turn. Your gifts and the way that you are expressing them through your life are so very important. And you are appreciated, and I appreciate you, and I love you, and I thank you for that. So I just want to first start by saying that. I'm Glenn Mate, and I live in Connecticut. I am roughly 60 miles outside of New York City and about 35 minutes outside of New Haven. So that kind of can give you a geographical idea of where I am in that little itty bitty state. I've lived here my whole life, but I've been traveling across the United States since I was about 18 years old. I became a police officer very early on in my life. I was 20 years old, and then I decided that that particular career was not really for me, because I remember that my friend said, we have to be careful what we say to Glenn now because he's a cop now, and that really didn't sit well with me. So after a couple of years, I decided to trade my gun in for a pillow, and I became a fireman. And I situated my working career, what I call my working career, very deep in the cookie jar of fire service. I specialized in very highly technical rescues, so not only did I go in to do certain events like 9/11, Katrina, Oklahoma City, Haiti, all of those large-scale disasters, I also taught other firefighters and rescue personnel on how to perform these very heroic and difficult tasks, and how to maintain themselves emotionally and mentally through that. And unbeknownst to me, I didn't know how all of that was really going to integrate with the other life that I've always had, which was spirituality and metaphysics. As a child, as an 8-year-old boy, I can recall having my first experience, and I remember walking home from school, uphill both ways in the snow, and just setting my books on the kitchen table, walking up to my room, and I'm sitting on my bed, I'm just sitting down, and all of a sudden, I'm from the aspect of looking down at myself. But I know that I'm down there, but I'm also up here, and there I can see the four walls, I can see the floor, and I just observed myself. I'm like, this is really odd. How could I be having this experience where I'm here and there at the same time? And I stayed in it for what it maybe felt like 15 minutes or so, and I'm not really sure how much time actually passed, but I went back down to my mom, and I told my mom, who was a very devout Roman Catholic, and said, don't you ever do that again. So as an 8-year-old boy, boom, went the cork on that particular experience. And I didn't know any better until I started to hit my teenage years, where I had more and more of these unique experiences and unique synchronicities coming into my life. And part of the quest that I've always had since a teenager was to find the truth. What is the truth? What is the truth about religion, government, the world, the cosmos, the galaxy? And I've studied everything from Egyptian history, certain archaeology, gems, minerals, crystals, all types of things metaphysical, learning about flower essences and creating potions and all of that, all the way to learning how to remote view, becoming a channel, becoming a person of a practitioner of light language, a Reiki master. I have worked for some of probably the most well-known people in New Thought, New Ideas, Metaphysics. I worked for Dr. Joe Dispenza for a few years in his NCS corporate program to teach his work. I am still a partial employee of the Heart Math Institute, so that is really, really important to me, because everything that I do is heart-centered. Everything energetically that I can do comes from being heart-centered. And it's opened so many doors for me, so many synchronicities. I am so very, very grateful, and like that is me in a canned little quick box. But